Hi, welcome back. It has been quite a week, I think, for everybody. Just inundated all the time, and so hopefully you have taken some time to step back from doom scrolling or reading the news and do something for yourself. I have been working all week, but we did get a chance to run down to the big city, stop by Joann's. I didn't have anything in particular that we were looking for, but I figured I'd show you what we did end up getting. For myself, I decided to try some of their flannel. I haven't done anything with flannel before, but people have said reusable wipes, which headed on the way away from paper. That might be something to think about. Not having a baby anymore is helpful. That's mostly what I've seen it for, but a lot of people can use them otherwise. I feel like that's what the unpaper towels are made of. Haven't really decided if I like those any better than the rags that I use, but that's okay. Might be able to find something useful with this. I did get it for $2 for the yard. It was in their clearance section. And then my son picked out some fleece. He brought the bolts over. This is what he wanted. He wants to make a little blanket. So we'll probably do one of those tie blankets. I'll just leave it in the size that it is. It would be a good car blanket. I might maybe add some batting to give it some thickness. We'll see. We'll do a section, a half, and see how thick it is and go from there. Besides Joann's, I did also find some thrifted fabric as well as some cotton batting rather than the polyester. So again, this would be for a small quilt. It still had the label with it. We'll see what that can be used for. I found some heavier weight herringbone, some cotton plaid. I'll have to do the fire test on it to make sure it's 100% cotton, see what it can be used for, but they don't have any stretch. So these could be used for like at least blanket backing. They're pretty soft, but just trying to, I like it. Didn't cost me very much. Add it into my fabric stash and see what I can use it for projects. So today I figured I'll keep working on that poof, get some of the pieces put together. I do have some of the mesh to make an interior bag. I'll probably do that in a separate setting, but we'll finish out the poof and see what that looks like today. Other than that, throughout the week I kept working on my sourdough starter and it collapsed. Wasn't growing at all. I finally just trashed it last night, and I'm gonna start again and maybe just consistently use the whole wheat flour and see if that makes a difference. I am using cheap all-purpose flour from Walmart, so maybe that is part of not maintaining the growth. So I'll give that whole wheat a try, do the first 3 days of feeding once a day. Then it grows, go to twice a day, and we'll see what happens. So from there, let's get started. So here I am serging each side, but not the end, because this will be in the big circle, and that will get serged twice between the binding. I'm still kind of debating doing the binding, but either way I can go around it twice to double reinforce it. So we're doing these ends, and then when we put them together they will get serged together, and that way, when, as far as I understand, when it's in a poof and there's pressure, it's less likely to come apart, especially with the woven's more likely to separate. So going and doing each side of all of these triangles, and then I'll put them together and okay, now that we have all the different sides serged together, this is a good time to Well, the next step anyways is to separate them and then lay them out. I just have 3 different patterns, so I'm alternating. 2 of them are just different colorways of the same pattern. So I've got it. The birds in between, separated by these 2 patterns. Again, this is just fabric that I picked up at the thrift store, so it doesn't have to be anything super special. Probably a cat or 2 or 3 or a child isn't going to end up using them while I'm in here in my sewing room doing various assortments of things. So I did clean out our spare room last weekend after I did my last video. I went through and reorganized it and got a car full of things that we haven't used, you know, toys that have been down there for a year. We're clearly not going to use them. Took them and donated them. But I also, you know, realized, oh, look at that. I have 5 garbage bags full of fabric scraps. So I will be making at least 1 more, if not 2 more of these poofs and finding some good use to them. So you can see the general idea of the spiral here, and so this time I am going to do it in sections. So I will do half, and get a straight line across and then put them together. So now I'll serge 2 at a time, iron them, 2 at a, you know, get that section together and get it all nice and flat. And then that way I can put them together and hopefully have a nice little point in the center. This might be a little more ambitious than, since I'm not really much of a quilter anymore. It's been such a long time, but I think it's worth a shot. I did move the cutting knife over on my serger so that I didn't accidentally mess up any of my lines. I gave myself quite a bit of space and it seems to have done fine serging it. So now it's time to put it together. Okay, so I have the first half of the sides sewn together. So I'm going to separate them real quick and then look at how the seams sit, and I might get away with not ironing them before I can put them all together since we're not doing all the same sides. So came out pretty good, and yeah, I should be able to put them together. I'm just going to make them in a circle and make sure they match that other half that's over there and the pattern continues. Obviously I can change it since I'm going to do 1 half first, make sure it looks decent before I go to the other half. So sewing with woven is not near as forgiving as knit fabric, and while I'm sewing I have to kind of remember that you can't just stretch it out a little bit when you make a mistake. Sewing with woven is much different, but this should be good. So it'll be a cute little pattern. Let me see if I can get this guy out and show you. You can look at all my janky lining that I've added in here. So I will get these put together and then I'll iron them and see how they turned out. I can say not too bad. I've got a little bit of serger line here where I didn't quite cover it, but I did pink. And honestly, like I said, it's not going to be perfect. It's much better than it was before. I'm going to take it and I'm going to move on. And I'm going to do this other half. Same thing. Piece it, piece it, piece it. Put all 3 together. I'll iron it. I'll be back when that's done. My other half done here. I think this one maybe turned out even better. I might iron this a little more since I've got my iron out. Get this guy done. Okay, that part a little flatter. So now I'm gonna flip these over on each other. I have these fabulous clips that I use obviously for my clothes, but they should work with this. And so I think I'm going to try and line up these seams. And then the question is, do I clip this little tip off? So I'm going to go end to end here just to make sure I've got something helping me hold that straight line. Because see, there's a little wobbly. And this side as well. Keep these guys together. There's just a little touch of stretch. Must be from serging it. So that's the other question, is should I adjust my serger a little different with doing woven? So far it has been fine, but I'm doing things like making an apron for my neighbor, making a poof. I'm not doing very precise quilting. And so that's something that I'll have to look into if I decide to do a little more woven. I think I am, because it's so bulky here. And when I cross it with my serger anyway, my serger's gonna cut it. So I think I can safely cut that and cut that. Here, see? And then that gives me a cleaner line going all the way across. This is going to be bulky no matter what, because all pieces lead to that point. All right, let's see how that goes. Okay, so sewn together, straight across. It doesn't have the most beautiful center, but I think in comparison to my first attempt, I've got some kind of cohesive center here, and I will take it. If I keep working on it and I don't like it, I can always hand stitch something in the center. So I think I'm not gonna do the binding, so I'm gonna serge all the way around these edges, and then that way it's double reinforced when I put it on the side pieces here. So then with that, do I serge around the edges of the side pieces? It's having me double serge everywhere else. Do I double serge on this too? And also, are they equal? We'll find out. If they are, then I will have to go around and pin. For one, I'll have to make a decision here. Do I have them the same, or do I have them a little off? So that's some decisions, but if they're supposed to round out to the same distance, then I will pin them at each one. But we'll start with serging and we'll go from there. Okay. So I've got the edges here are serged on both sides, as well as the circle. So kind of need to see how, if these guys are going to line up well or not. And so I would go seam to seam and then clip on either side. It looks like they should be the same length here. I probably could have gone back and read the instructions again, but I decided to just go for it. And so they're probably not going to be perfect, but I think that they will be close enough that when it's fluffy and a little indented, it's not a big deal. So we'll just work our way around from here. Get these guys clipped and off we go. Should be pretty cute. Kept up with the pattern the same, luckily. that worked out. I do not believe that I double checked it before I put my second pinwheel together, so that's actually really lucky. We'll go from here. Alright, I've got my base on and everything together, and actually I think it turned out pretty good. Here is the, if I can get it separated properly now that it all blends together. So the top, but then look at the sides, like there. Here's the seam for the top and the sides, and they connected pretty well. So next step, making a bag, fill the poof. Definitely some lessons learned on this project. The bottom was not as big around of a circle as every other part, so I did have to add kind of a little folded pleats. I did 4 of them, 1 on each side of the zipper. So here's another little pleat. I think it'll turn out fine once it's filled. It's gonna be all crooked and floofy anyways, which is kind of the point, but that's something I think it has to do with how I attached the zipper. I probably folded over too much, didn't do the hidden zipper appropriately. Again, I haven't really done many zippers, so next time, since I have 5 garbage bags full of fabric instead of 3 like I thought, and I do want to use my scraps. If they're too small, we can do them for filling, but I can always do them for patches or pockets or appliques or even sleeves, depending on what size of shirts, if they're small enough, kind of like the patchwork stuff. So I want to make sure that my scraps are accessible for me to use. And so I'll definitely be doing 1, if not 2 more poofs. So I think next time I will focus a lot on doing the zipper right, spending time on that, making sure that I get a bit more skilled at that, and then as well as the piping that will go around the edge of the top here and kind of give it more professional finish. So some lessons learned there, but I think it was a good project, and it is a good goal to use something that I already have, fabric that it didn't cost me much. The zipper I've had forever. I think I got that when I first started sewing and wasn't sure what direction. And I mean, even still, I don't know what direction I want to go. Trying different things, it's fun. Build on my base skills. You know, I'm really comfortable with basic t-shirts, now pants for kids. I definitely have an adult pants project that I want to try. It is mostly out of woven. I think I could also use knit fabric, but again, it depends on how it drapes. Kids are fine. You know, the fabric for my son, there's no concerns with drape, but adults, we're a little curvier, shape a little different, things you want to show, want to not show. So pants are gonna be, they're gonna be a project. The Linda pants pattern from Mood Fabrics, it is free and they have a really good walkthrough. I've read good things about it, other artists have posted about it, so I think that's what I will start with. Kind of a good solid base to build on, elastic waistband. You can change the pants from fitted to more flared. The new like kind of bowed shape is really popular, but it also depends on your body shape. So that's a project for the future. I did also get new dining room chairs this week. They were used, definitely had pets and cats that enjoyed it, which my 2 youngest cats are 1.5 years and they're all over those chairs. So they will need to be reupholstered, which I've done before. They have an upholstered back, so that's new, not just the seat. So that'll be a project, but something to keep an eye out of fabric for. I would like to do a dark blue or a dark teal, I think, to add some color with the wood. I don't want to go with just the millennial gray. I'm kind of over the gray, especially with our lighting here. None of the grays ever match. We have so much sun. So let's go with some color, some blue or teal. I'll keep an eye out. I haven't looked at upholstery fabric at Joann's for a long time. Of course, I got the chairs after we went to Joann's. So I'll keep an eye out for some fabric there. Hopefully you've had a good week, taking some time to yourself. Make sure to take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.